Hello everyone. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and let's go.
Imagine checking your work email only to find a message from a college-aged bartender. He's asking you to check your wife's things for his family heirloom. My perfect Emily put on a show in a dank storage room full of beer kegs, all to win a stupid bet with her friends. She did not know one thing. That kid is my boss's son. I ended up throwing her out on the street barefoot, wearing nothing but my old t-shirt, right in front of the whole neighborhood. In this story, there is no mercy, only cold revenge and a finale that will pull the rug right out from under you. I stood in the backyard, listening to the rhythmic clicking of the sprinkler system. The nozzles were firing fans of water across a lush, vibrant green lawn. In the Dallas suburbs, the state of your lawn is your social credit score. If the grass turns yellow, you've got problems. I did not have any problems. At least, that's what I thought. I walked into the house, and the icy blast of the AC hit my skin instantly. Inside, everything smelled like lemon polish, expensive wood, and freshness. Emily was standing at the kitchen island. She was wearing my old gray college t-shirt that hit her mid-thigh. Her hair was tossed up in a messy bun, with a few blonde strands sticking to her neck. She looked like a picture out of a middle-class dream catalog. My good girl Em. The woman who was too shy to laugh out loud in restaurants and always double-checked the deadbolt at night. "Morning, sleepyhead," I said, coming up behind her. I wrapped my arms around her waist. She flinched, just a tiny bit, almost imperceptible, but the jolt went straight through my palms. She was making a smoothie, and the roar of the blender had drowned out my footsteps, but still, she'd never reacted like that before. "Oh, David, you scared me," she smiled, turning around in my arms. Her eyes were a little bloodshot. Girls' night, right? She'd headed out yesterday with her friends to celebrate someone's divorce or engagement. I could not even remember which. She'd rolled in after midnight. I was already in bed, half submerged in sleep. I only remembered the smell. It was not her usual floral perfume. She smelled like something sharp, masculine, mixed with cheap gin and cigarette smoke. "How was the night out?" I asked, scanning her face. She did not answer right away, focusing on pouring the thick green sludge into glasses. "Oh, you know, Sarah and Becca." One bar led to another. The girls really went wild. I barely convinced them to let me come home. My head is killing me. She took a sip and looked away. There was a note of dishonesty in it, a hairline fracture on a perfect vase. When she'd slipped into the bedroom last night, I'd noticed something odd. Usually, Emily drops her Michael Kors bag right on the entryway console. But last night, she was clutching it to her chest like it was a gold bar. She practically bolted to the closet and hid it in the far corner, behind the boxes of winter boots. At the time, I figured she'd bought something expensive and did not want to admit it. Typical retail therapy stuff. "Did you leave your ring in the bathroom?" I asked, noticing her bare fingers. She froze with the glass at her lips. A 1-second pause. Way too long for such a simple question. "Oh, yeah." The heat made my fingers swell up. I took it off in the car, and I think I left it in the glove box or my purse. "Do not worry. It's not lost." She gave me a forced smile and pecked me on the cheek. The taste of the smoothie on her lips felt bitter. Emily headed toward the stairs. "I'm going to jump in the shower to wash last night off of me." I watched her go. Something was off. My gut, the same gut that helped me close multi-million-dollar deals, was screaming at the top of its lungs, "David, look closer." I poured some coffee and sat at the table. A minute later, I heard the shower start upstairs. And then it began. Her phone was sitting on the counter, Emily had forgotten it. The screen was lighting up every 5 seconds. Notifications from her WhatsApp group chat were flooding in. "Em, you are a literal legend." That was Sarah. "I still can't believe he fell for it. Did you see his face when you dragged him back there?" Becca wrote. 10 out of 10 for the acting. Good Girl of the Year. I stared at the pop-ups, and a heavy, cold feeling started to simmer inside me. I'd never been the type to snoop. We had a deal. Total trust. In our neighborhood, that's how everyone lived. Open, honest, and predictable. But these messages, they did not fit the Good Girl M narrative. I reached for the phone. My fingers hovered over the screen. At that exact moment, the water stopped upstairs. I pulled my hand back and took a huge gulp of coffee, burning my tongue. "Everything's fine, David," I whispered to myself. "It's just the girls being drunk and talking trash." But I already knew it was a lie. Moja intuicja nikogda nie ошибалась. And this not fine was only just beginning. I headed up to my home office. I needed to focus on the blueprints for a new shopping center, but my thoughts were a tangled mess. I opened my laptop and instinctively clicked on LinkedIn, a professional habit. Usually it's just job inquiries or boring articles about thought leadership, but today there was a red notification icon in the corner. Sender, Ryan Smith. I frowned. I did not know any Ryan Smith. The profile picture showed a young guy, maybe 22, a classic golden boy type, a dazzling smile, perfectly styled hair, and a tailored blazer. His bio read, law student, intern at Vance & Associates. Vance & Associates. My heart skipped a beat. That was Susan Smith's firm, my biggest client. If this kid was her son, I needed to play it cool. I clicked on the message. "David, good afternoon. Sorry to reach out like this, but I could not find another way to get in touch without causing a stir on your wife's social media. My name is Ryan. I was filling in as a bartender at the Rusty Oak last Friday, just for some networking experience. My mom insists on me getting some social exposure. I met Emily yesterday. Look, I do not want to cause any trouble. She mentioned you guys have a modern approach to marriage and an open relationship, so I hope there's no hard feelings. Here's the thing. When we slipped into the back storage room behind the bar, well, it was pretty cramped and hot back there. I lost one of my gold cufflinks. It was a graduation gift from my mother, a family heirloom with my initials. Emily is not responding to my DMs on Instagram. I guess she decided it was just a one-time thing. I'm not looking for a repeat performance, honestly, but if that cufflink accidentally got caught in her dress or left in her purse, could you check? I can swing by and pick it up anytime. Thanks in advance for the man-to-man understanding. I read the text 3 times. The world around me began to cave in. The suburban sounds outside, the neighbor's lawnmower, the kids splashing in the pool, all of it faded into white noise. One-time thing. Storage room. Open relationship. Each word hit like a sledgehammer to the chest. My wife. The woman who used to blush if I kissed her in public, told some bartender brat that we had an open marriage? And she did it right there, under the cameras or on some filthy crates in a dive bar's back room. And the kicker? Ryan Smith, Susan's son. If I lose my cool now, if I make a scene, Susan will grind my firm into dust. She's old school and hates any kind of family drama that could tarnish her reputation. My hands started to shake. It was not fear. It was rage. Pure, concentrated fury. from a man who had been betrayed in the cheapest, stupidest way possible. For what? For a cufflink? For a bet with her friends? I remembered those messages on her phone. Legend. Good Girl of the Year. The pieces finally clicked. This was not some sudden spark of passion. It was a game. She put our life, our trust, and my career on the line just to prove to her bridesmaids that she could still pull a guy without taking off her ring. Though, according to Ryan, she either took it off or lied about what it meant. I heard footsteps outside the door. Emily was out of the shower. She was humming a light, cheerful tune to herself. I slowly closed the laptop. My face was a mask of stone. I could feel something shifting inside me. The David who bought her flowers every Friday and took her on Caribbean vacations had just ceased to exist. In his place stood someone else. Someone who knows how to handle problems and take out the trash. I got up from my desk and quietly walked to the office door. It was cracked open. I could see a slice of our bedroom. Emily was standing in front of the mirror, in nothing but a towel, blow-drying her hair. Then she switched it off, grabbed her phone, and walked into the walk-in closet. I followed her, treading silently on the thick carpet. I stopped at the entrance to the closet, tucked away in the shadows of the hallway. "Yes, Sarah, I'm telling you, I was shocked myself." Her voice rang out, crystal clear. There was not a trace of the shame I expected to hear. "He was so cocky, acting like such an alpha behind the bar all night. I just walked up, ordered a martini, and gave him that look we practiced." She laughed. That laugh cut through me like a jagged blade. "The ring?" Emily chuckled. "Yeah, he noticed it halfway through the conversation. He asked, 'Is your husband gonna kill me?' And I just dropped that line about us being open. You should have seen his eyes. He practically dragged me into that back room with the beer kegs. God, it was so cramped. But the adrenaline was insane. I felt like I was in a movie. Yes, Becca, I won. You guys owe me that dinner at Nobu and the Gucci bag." I did it. Good girl M beat the system. I stood there, leaning against the doorframe, listening to my life crumble. She sold 10 years of marriage for a steak dinner and a handbag. She used me, my status, and our home as props for her little victory over boredom. I did not feel the pain anymore. Just cold. A deep, Arctic chill. In business, I knew the rule. When a partner starts stealing, you do not negotiate. You terminate the contract and kick them to the curb before they take anything else. I kicked the closet door wide open. Emily jumped, nearly dropping her phone. It hit the carpet with a muffled thud. Her face cycled through 3 colors in a split second, from post-shower pink to a ghostly ashen gray. "David? What are you doing here?" Her voice trembled, her hands frantically clutching the towel to her chest. "Looking for a cufflink, Em," I said. My voice was eerily steady, deep and level. "A gold cufflink with initials. Word on the street is it's in here somewhere." She backed away, hitting the shoe rack. "What are you talking about? What cufflink?" "The one your law student, Ryan, lost in the storage room while you were proving to your friends that we've still got it." I took a step toward her. She looked so small, so pathetic in that moment. "David, it's not what you think. It was a joke, just a stupid bet." She started to stammer, her eyes instantly welling up. The classic move. "Shut up," I snapped. I walked over to that same box of winter boots she had tucked away so carefully this morning. I reached down and tore the lid off. There, buried under her boots, was her purse. I flipped it over and dumped the contents right onto the floor. Lipstick, keys, wallet, a compact. And then, with a heavy thud, a solid gold square hit the carpet. The cufflink. It caught the light from the window, gleaming like a smoking gun. Emily covered her mouth with both hands. Her shoulders began to shake. "I'm leaving now," I said, staring her straight in the eyes. "Do not you dare call me. Do not you dare text Sarah or anyone else. Just sit here and wait." "David, please." She tried to grab my arm, but I brushed her fingers off like they were a stray hair on my suit. "You had everything, Emily. Now, you just have this cufflink. I hope it was worth the dinner at Nobu." I turned around and walked out. I had one more piece of business to settle before I scrubbed my house of this filth. The Rusty Oak was about a 10-minute drive from our subdivision. It was a decent spot. Leather booths, top-shelf bourbon, dim lighting. In the evenings, it was where the local elite gathered, but right now, at 11 in the morning, the air smelled like nothing but bleach and stale beer. I pushed open the heavy oak door. The place was empty, except for a guy setting up chairs by the bar. It was him, Ryan. In person, he looked even younger and even more full of himself. He was wearing a plain t-shirt that showed off his athletic build. He looked up and flashed me a smile, the exact same grin I'd seen on LinkedIn. "We do not open for an hour, sir," he said politely. I walked up to the bar without saying a word. My footsteps echoed through the empty room. I did not rush. I moved slowly, like a predator that knows exactly where its prey is trapped. I pulled the gold cufflink out of my pocket and set it on the polished wood of the bar with a sharp clink. The smile slowly slid off Ryan's face. He recognized the piece, and then he recognized me. His eyes went wide, and he instinctively took a step back, his lower back hitting the liquor shelves. "Oh, Mark? I mean, David?" He swallowed hard. "Listen, did you get my message?" "You got my cufflink, Ryan," I said, leaning over the bar to close the distance. I could see beads of sweat breaking out on his forehead. "Tell me, kid, did you really buy that open marriage line, or did you just not give a damn as long as you got to pull a woman into the back room?" "She said it herself, I swear." He held his hands up in a defensive gesture. "She was so persistent. She said you guys lived your own lives, that it was normal. I did not want any trouble with your family or my mom." "Your mom is Susan Smith," I stated flatly. "She just handed my firm a $30 million project, and her son slept with my wife over a stupid bet at a bachelorette party. How do you think it's going to go, Ryan, when Susan finds out her future lawyer is messing around in storage rooms with married clients? How fast do you think she'll cut you out of the will and kick you out of the firm?" He turned so pale, he looked almost translucent. All that alpha bartender swagger evaporated instantly. Now I was just looking at a terrified boy who had wandered into a game way over his head. "Please, do not," he whispered. I did not know. She seemed so, quiet. I thought it was for real. I reached out and grabbed him by the collar of his t-shirt. I did not yank him, but I held on tight enough for him to feel the strength behind it. "Listen to me carefully, Ryan. You're going to take your phone out right now. You're going to delete her number. You're going to block her on everything. If I see so much as a single like or one message from you in her direction, I will personally hand the security footage from this bar to your mother. And believe me, I'll make sure you cannot get a job at a gas station taco stand. Do you hear me?" Yes, I get it. I swear, I'll never see her again." I let go of his collar and straightened his shirt for him. Then I took the cufflink and pressed it hard into his palm. "Take your trash. And remember, never touch what belongs to men who are a lot more powerful than you. You're dismissed." I turned around and walked out into the street. The Texas sun was brutal, but I felt stone cold. Everything inside me had hardened. There was one last act left, the most important one. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw her car was still there. Emily had not left. She was waiting, hoping I'd cool off. She did not understand who she'd been living with all these years. She had mistaken my kindness for weakness. I walked into the house. She was sitting on the living room sofa, still wearing that same t-shirt of mine, though she'd thrown a cardigan over it. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and she was clutching a damp, shredded tissue in her hands. "David." She jumped up the second I crossed the threshold. "Please, just listen to me. I made a terrible, stupid mistake. It was the girls. They kept laughing, saying I'd become a housewife without a spark. I just wanted to prove." "Prove what?" I stopped in the middle of the room, keeping my sunglasses on. "That you could betray the man who provided this perfect life for you, just to get a pat on the back from two bitter divorcees?" "No, it did not mean anything. It was just an episode. I did not even enjoy it, I swear." She took a step toward me, reaching out for a hug. I put my hand up, stopping her dead in her tracks. "I do not care if you enjoyed it or not. I do not care about your excuses. You opened the door to our life to a stranger. You made a fool of me in front of my client's son. You destroyed the very foundation this house was built on." "I'll fix it. We'll go to therapy. We can—" "No, Em. You do not get it." I pulled my phone out and hit play on the recording I'd made at the bar. Ryan's voice filled the room. She was so persistent. She said you guys lived your own lives. She froze, her face twisted in pure horror. "You lost more than a dinner, Emily. You lost this house. You lost this name. And you lost me. You have 5 minutes to grab your ID and the essentials. I'll send the rest later. Or I won't not. I'll probably just burn it." "You cannot kick me out. This is my house, too." Her voice suddenly shifted. The hysteria turned into a sharp, ugly venom. The good girl act was gone. Her true colors were finally showing. "Take a look at the prenup, honey," I smirked. "The infidelity and moral turpitude clause? My lawyers drafted it perfectly. You're leaving with exactly what you came with. One bag." I walked past her into the bedroom. I grabbed her suitcases from the closet, the expensive ones, bought with my money. I did not bother packing them. I just threw open the second-story window that overlooked the front lawn. "What are you doing?" she screamed, bursting into the room. I silently hurled the first suitcase out. It burst open mid-air, and a flurry of her silk dresses and lingerie scattered across the bright green grass, landing right under the spray of the sprinklers. "No! My clothes!" She lunged for the window. I tossed the second suitcase. Then her jewelry box, the one filled with anniversary gifts. It rained gold and silver onto the driveway. Across the street, the neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Green, froze with their garden shears in hand. Let them watch. Let the whole world see what happens to anyone who lies to David Miller. I grabbed Emily by the elbow. My grip was iron. I led her down the stairs, ignoring the screaming, the pleading, and the curses. She tried to dig her heels in, but I marched her straight out the front door. "Welcome to your new world, Em," I said, pointing to her belongings soaking under the irrigation system. "Enjoy your freedom. I slammed the door and turned the deadbolt. Silence. Blessed silence. I went into the kitchen and poured myself a glass of 12-year-old scotch. My hand did not shake. I sat in my favorite armchair and opened my phone. I found her contact. My Emily. Delete. Block. I took a sip of the burning liquid. The Texas sun was still scorching the earth, but inside here, things finally felt cool. I won this round, and the price was fair. Exactly 1 year has passed. The Texas summer is melting the asphalt again, but the heat does not feel suffocating anymore. If anything, I feel like I finally shed a heavy, suffocating skin. I sat on the porch of the same house, the house that now belongs only to me. After the divorce, I changed everything, from the locks to the upholstery. There's no trace of her perfume, no more fake smiles at the kitchen island. My lawyer was a shark. That infidelity clause worked like a guillotine. Emily left with what she came with, 2 bags and a shattered ego. I opened LinkedIn. Ironically, the same network that destroyed my marriage was now helping me build an empire. My firm has expanded. We took on 2 more massive projects from Susan Smith. She never found out the truth. I saved her face, and she secured my success. I saw Ryan a few months ago in downtown Dallas. He's not a bartender anymore. Susan eventually shipped him off to a firm in another state. When he saw me walking out of a restaurant, he immediately looked away and crossed the street. The boy learned his lesson. In the world of grown men, you pay for every storage room encounter with your reputation. And Emily? A month ago, I ran into Sarah, that friend from the group chat. She looked older, frazzled. Through her rambling story, I learned that the great bet backfired on everyone. Emily is living in a cramped apartment on the edge of town. Her good girl image evaporated, and her support system went with it. No Nobu dinners, no Gucci bags. The friends who egged her on vanished the second my money stopped flowing. Turns out, being a legend at a bar is easy. But being a woman who lost everything for a 5-minute thrill is unbearable. She's tried texting me from random numbers, asking to talk, claiming she realized everything. I have not replied once. To me, she died the day I saw her clothes hit the wet grass. In the backyard, the sprinkler system clicked on. I looked at my lawn, perfectly manicured, emerald green and clean. There are no more weeds in my life. I took a sip of my iced tea and smiled. A year ago, I thought I'd lost my family. Today, I know I just cut the anchor that was dragging me down. I stood up, walked inside, and locked the door. 1 click of the bolt. 1 master of the house. 1 truth. And that's where today's story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.